If you've seen my Slendytubbies video, then you would know that it is the lowest rated game I've ever covered on this channel, with the first game literally getting a 1 because it had no redeeming qualities to it.
I found all 4 of them, holy shit!
At the end of the video I said that I would eventually make a part 2, which would end up covering the games that I didn't play. However, only a couple months ago did I find out that there was a lot more that I had missed in that video, ranging from game modes to entire games that I hadn't even heard about.
Oh, he's molesting.
At first I was scared to cover them, but now I'm just more interested than anything. So in this video, I'll be giving Slendytubbies a second chance to redeem itself, and to also claim the title of Ultimate Slendytubbies Review. So sit back and relax, as I dive back into the Slendytubbies series to review the games that I never played.
Hey.
Who the fuck? So in my last video, when I was looking for the games to actually download them, I found out that the first game wasn't on the official ZeroWorks website for some reason, and I had to download the game from an archive page on GameJolt. However, when I went back to the ZeroWorks website, I had found that they had decided to remove Slendytubbies 2 and the 2D game from the website. I'm confused as to why ZeroWorks would do this. Like, I literally don't see a single benefit or reason as to why he would need to do this, but it's just something I thought I'd like to update you on. Slendytubbies 1 was definitely the game of all time. When I reviewed this last time, I had no good things to say about this game. I'm not gonna go into depth on why I hated it. If you want to know, then just go watch part 1 if you haven't already.
But Jayden, why would you be talking about this game again if you already did it in the first part?
Well, viewer, when I first covered the game, I only talked about the solo play, which was the most mind-numbing, brain-crushing gameplay I've ever experienced. However, in that video, I didn't talk about the multiplayer, which is the same mind-numbing, brain-crushing gameplay, but with friends. Although to play it with friends, you'll need this program called Hamachi. I don't really know what it does or how it works, but I mean, it lets me play Slendytubbies. So, in multiplayer, there are 2 modes. Co-op mode, which was changed to comp in a later update, and versus. In co-op, it's literally just the main game, except there's another person with you. The only difference, however, is that the AI actually for some reason exists this time, except it sucks. You see, when I did solo play the first time round, it didn't look like there was actually anything that could kill me, and the only scares were the 1-frame flash jump scares, which are apparently canon to the lore or something, or they make sense. I really don't know or care. However, in the multiplayer, I actually happened to see that there is a monster that can kill you. However, it has one flaw, and it's the fact that it exists. See, for some reason, in the multiplayer mode, Tinky Winky will only go after whoever is hosting the server, which kind of takes away from the multiplayer, as the other player is almost just another person who can help collect custards, and that's it. They later changed this mode in the second version of the game, or at least the beta for it, and changed co-op to competitive, where this time you actually compete with your friends rather than working with them. And sticking to the theme of doing everything with your friends, here is one of them now to talk to you about competitive mode.
Oh man, I don't want to do this stupid YouTuber stuff.
Come on, you'll be fine.
What do I even say?
Well, I mean, just introduce yourself and talk about the game.
I don't want to intro.
Okay, good luck, have fun.
I don't even hang out with this guy. Competitive and co-op were pretty much the same thing. The only thing in it that were changed was Tinky Winky's AI and the name. Instead of there only being one Tinky Winky, for some reason there was only one for each player. I don't really know why ZeroWorks did this, but hey, it's whatever. Basically, your Tinky Winky would only follow you. I'll be honest, this was actually an improvement from like co-op in a way. Instead of it just following one player and some other guy could just kind of go on and collect the custards, this time everyone has to like worry about their own individual Tinky Winky.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I would also like to mention that if the lobby leader left the game, let's say you're in a lobby of 5 players, if the lobby leader left the game, all Tinky Winkies would go after you, and you'd be put into like a solo match. I don't really know why this happens. I personally didn't experience this, but I'm pretty sure my friends did.
I had all 5 chasing after me.
There really isn't much else to say about competitive mode besides that it's I don't know. It's alright.
Lastly, there is versus mode, which again is just the same game as solo play, but this time the monster is actually controlled by a real living human being. However, there are many flaws with this and is probably the worst game mode of them all. Firstly being the fact that versus never seemed to work on either version 1 or version 2. In version 1, I didn't get to play as Tinky Winky because for some reason it just wasn't letting us join a server together. And in version 2, we just didn't get to play because every time one of my friends would join, it bugged out the whole map and then started playing that one He-Man song for some reason. Secondly, Tinky Winky can see the entire map from literally any point, meaning that there is literally no hiding from the player that happens to get the monster. Looking through Tinky Winky's eyes, we also see that when we get closer to trees in the distance, that they look like they're popping up from the ground. I don't know why. I think it might be a level of detail thing, but you usually shouldn't be able to notice stuff like that, and I also don't know if it works that way anyway, but whatever. In terms of gameplay though, I have no input because I never had it work for me, so...
Playing as Tinky Winky was actually kind of fun. I could see the whole map. For some reason I could fly, and I was like way faster than Jayden too. Although I feel like versus in a game like this doesn't really work, especially when you're not like supposed to look at Tinky Winky and if you're fast. If I was really trying like to win, we weren't really taking it seriously. We were just messing around.
Do you see me?
Yeah.
It would have been super easy. And not only that, but the vision that Tinky Winky has is just so bright. It's like a bright red. It hurt my... What?
I'm sorry, T, but that's all the time that we have for Slendytubbies 1.
Wait, but I didn't get to finish my...
Slendytubbies Anniversary Edition was created to celebrate the 3rd year of Slendytubbies.
Anniversary Edition actually didn't come out on its anniversary. It came out in 2016 on Halloween as iOS Edition, later then being renamed to Anniversary Edition on its actual anniversary, December 12th.
Okay, I guess it wasn't created to celebrate the 3rd year of Slendytubbies. The game isn't very different compared to the first one, although it is actually still worth talking about the small differences it makes. The major change that this game does is give you the ability to toggle between the old graphics and the bad graphics. I was once ashamed to admit that my laptop couldn't run Slendytubbies graphics. That was until the day I started learning 3D software and found out that running a displacement map across the entire area, creating more polygons than one Garten of Banban model, it's a pretty bad idea. Another massive change is to the AI, and unlike Slendytubby tradition, is actually for the better this time. See, the first game's AI was a different type of buggy in every different game mode, besides in version 2 beta, when they had one Tinky Winky for each person.
Shit, I found Waz and I found mine.
However, they decided to improve on that in Anniversary Edition. They have one Tinky Winky for every player that loads into the game. However, unlike version 2 beta, they can actually change and target a different person if they are close enough. And also, unlike version 2 beta, does not send every single Tinky Winky in the lobby after you if the host leaves the game. Now besides that though, nothing in this game is really different, aside from some other smaller features like them making the scream one of the loudest sound effects in gaming history.
Guys!
Creating a server system that actually works a whole lot better than having to input an IP code, and also unlocking the cool ability to let you create custom skins with Imgur links, which was actually a feature in the Slendytubbies V2 beta, except it gets rid of your skin every time you die, and it doesn't save, and it sucks. It's not good. Just like with Slendytubbies 1, I completely missed the multiplayer mode in the second game, as I thought that the servers for it were down. And I mean, they are. However, me and my friends managed to find a working Slendytubbies 2 multiplayer game in an archive Discord server. I would just like to say that this server and all the other methods that we used for downloading and playing these games will be linked in the description for anyone who wants to try them out. The second game... The second game's multiplayer honestly doesn't really have anything of interest to talk about. It's pretty much just the first game's multiplayer. However, I will use this time to go over some of the stuff that I missed in my first review, such as the training maze, which I actually skipped last time because I did not want to have to deal with the stupid little grey newborn guys again. However, when me and my friends played, we ended up doing this map, and I found out that this map was a lot worse than I had originally thought it was going to be. Firstly, one of my biggest complaints in Slendytubbies 2 was the fact that some of the maps were just way too big and open. Stuff like the outskirts, Dipsy's Lake, etc, etc. Well, it would turn out that the training maze is the biggest map in the game, and it's way too easy to get lost in this map. When we were playing, we had to find a bird's eye view of the map, and I'm just gonna put it on screen for anyone else to, you know, screenshot it, look at it, because if you play on this map, you will need it, and I am not joking. I will bet money that you will need this to beat it, unless you just have the world's best muscle memory. The worst part was that when we played this, it was like 2 in the morning for me, so my batshit tired brain was sucking dookie butt trying to figure out where I was. Every hallway in this map looks so similar and familiar, and you don't know where you have been, where you haven't been, and it's literally just a labyrinth of brain fuckery. So all in all, I think that I was right for skipping the training maze the first time. Another issue that's with this map is the fact that instead of just the newborn guys, which I thought would have been bad enough, the actual lineup for the enemies on this map consists of one newborn, of Lake Dipsy, Lala, and Poe. But you know, to be honest, these guys aren't really the biggest problem, seeing as you get lost so easy that you will never really see them besides that first little part at the start. But once you've gone past them, you will never see them ever again, and I promise you that. Now this next thing isn't really something I missed, but instead was a mechanic in earlier versions of the game, which, to be honest, I don't know why they removed it in later updates, because really looking at it, it could have actually been a good gameplay feature if they had done it right. The camera that you can use for night vision used to have a battery system instead of just being able to be used the whole time. The battery would only last for about 10 seconds before needing to be charged again. Now I didn't really use the cameras because, I mean, you can see perfectly fine, but I feel like that if the maps were darker or they had maps designed to be completely dark, giving the camera an actual use, this could have been an extra scare factor to the game that would have made it at least a little bit more interesting. I don't think that this would have saved the game or anything, but like, it would have been a cool thing to see, like an Outlast kind of vibe.
You also forgot to mention how shitty the AI was. I could literally just run around the monster, and it would take it a few seconds to process that I'm behind it. And if you thought that was bad, it gets so much worse in versus mode. No matter how close you were to someone, if they were moving back, you were not able to kill them,
I'm literally touching you. How is this not killing me?
making it literally impossible to win as the monster unless they were standing still or they got stuck. Overall, versus mode still sucks, even in the sequel. In fact, I think this might even be a downgrade.
I was honestly really excited for this game when I played it for the first time. It's nothing too special, but it's pretty much the entire second game in 2D pixel art, and I'm not gonna lie, whoever created the sprites for all the characters and whatnot actually did a really good job, because these actually look really good. This is also the first game in the Slendytubbies franchise to feature a banger of a song for absolutely no reason. This trend continues later on in Slendytubbies 3 and its multiplayer, and I am all for it because a good song can really make me enjoy the game just a little bit more. Now, nothing in this game is all too different than the second game, although there are things that I want to talk about, such as how the game sucks. Like, a lot. In single player, I don't really have anything to say about it because, as I said, it's literally just the second game, so whatever I said in the last video most likely applies here. Although there are 2 new maps that I will talk about in just a quick sec. However, let's first talk about the multiplayer. The game is literally just the first game, but not in the sense of it doesn't add anything new, in the sense of that I have no good things to actively say about Slendytubbies 2D. First off, the maps suck even more than they did in the second game. fun. The inside ones are fine, just like in the second game, but I don't know. I just prefer the second game's indoor maps a lot more. But the outdoor maps in 2D are so much worse than they were before. The maps give you a path to follow, which you would assume would lead you to the custards. But no, instead of being on the path that the game has set out for you, they were actually stranded in the middle of buttfuck nowhere for no reason at all. Next, we have the amazing gameplay feature of the monsters being client-sided, I think? The reason I say this is because there were many times when my friend was watching me get literally engulfed by an entity, but I never saw it nor died to it. Then I could then walk over to my friend and this invisible monster would kill him. I really don't understand what happened to make this happen in the first place, but you know, I guess that's just Slendytubbies, I guess. And the times where I could actually see and interact with the monsters, the people in our games would find some stupid way to just cheese them for the whole thing, making them literally unable to move or chase after anyone. Firstly, that has got to be the most boring thing you could do, like, in your entire life. There is definitely better ways to spend your time than cheesing Slendytubbies 2D AI for other people. And two, if your AI is that shit that it is literally just as simple as stand on this side of the wall and they can't move anywhere, brother, you have a bad game. Apart from that though, 2D actually does add some content for its own, such as the 2 extra maps, which are the Possessed School and the Dream. These 2 maps were originally meant to add some deep lore to the game or something like that, but it is just way too confusing. It doesn't say anything, and it's even like just completely unknown to the Slendytubbies community. They also introduced new characters in these maps, such as the Dream having the Shadow Tubby and the Possessed School having the Ghost Girl, which also have very little detail about them. Like, the only details on these characters is that they were in a dream that Lala had, and that's about it. That is literally all that the wiki says about these characters. I don't really care if the game is adding new characters for lore, but like, at least, you know, give us a reason. You know, give them a reason of existing instead of just putting them in the game like they've been here the whole time.
It might not be the best game in the franchise, but as far as I'm aware, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, it's the only game to not have any hackers in it. Plus the hats are kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, that is also true. And like, look at what happens when you win. Like you can't get mad at this game.
What the fuck? Now it's on him. Oh, come on.
Yeah, never mind. This game sucks. In the last video, I gave Slendytubbies 3 the highest rating because it's different, kind of fun sometimes, but was still kind of bad in a lot of different ways. However, I only discussed the story mode last time, but after playing the multiplayer with my friends,
Stop looking at me.
I came to find out that Slendytubbies 3 might actually just be the best game in the series, and dare I say, actually consistently fun. Like, I will admit, I had a great time playing this game's multiplayer. I guess I had a fun time playing the other games as well, but the difference is that those games are only fun because I had friends to play with. But I actually enjoy Slendytubbies 3's multiplayer, and would honestly just play the game by myself just to pass the time. First off, on top of the standard versus and collect game modes, we now also have survival, infection, and sandbox. Now, how exactly would this game work in a game series like this? Well, believe it or not, the inclusion of these game modes actually do make sense, as these game modes continue on from the story laid out in the campaign. I would also like to say that these game modes are so much fun compared to literally anything else in the entire Slendytubbies series. I don't really want to talk about collect and versus because they're still boring and just not good, so let's start with survival. Survival is a wave-based zombie mode, and after every wave you can buy new weapons and ammo to take on the ever-expanding waves of newborns and the other monsters that, you know. The enemy designs, while taken from asset packs, are still pretty cool and interesting, and for some reason the gunplay is like good, and the music that plays during the boss waves is just heaven sent. Like, I can't find any complaints about this game mode. It's just really good.
Now, one of my personal favorite of all the game modes, Infection. Infection's actually pretty simple. About 11 players go up against one infected newborn. The uninfected players use guns. Do you go on a shotgun? while the infected players have like a little knife. Every player that would die to an infected would get infected, hence the name. The uninfected would have a certain amount of time to survive, while the infected need to kill everyone before the timer runs out. Pretty simple. The only thing I really don't like about infection is that some of the maps kind of suck for it. Mainly small maps like the research lab, which is one we played on a lot. There was this one spot where you could just kind of camp in it. Only one place you could go in and just the infected couldn't even spawn in there. And then there's also the big maps as well, like the outskirts, mainland, lake, whatever. If you were the infected player, it would be just impossible to get to someone, or else they would shoot you and stuff.
And finally, for the best mode of them all, sandbox. No main goal or anything, just goof around and do whatever you guys want to do. You can spawn in AI to attack with or against you, or you could just straight up become one of them and use their cool abilities. You can spawn all the weapons in the game, you can change the OST to any song in the game that you want, and you can access sandbox on any map. You want to see 50 Guardians go up against 50 Rons? Fucking go ahead. You want to have a sniper battle with your friend on the outskirts? Go have fun. You want to completely ruin the school map with a shit ton of friends while all spamming abilities? Go nuts. It is honestly so much fun just doing whatever you want in this game mode and just seeing whatever dumb shit you and your friends can accomplish in this game. It's just awesome. Now let's move on from the game modes and onto other stuff. The guns all honestly feel really nice to use. The animations are smooth. The melee weapons are honestly kind of mid, but you'd be a loser for wanting to actively use melee in this game, so the enemies you face off against are also really cool too. Some of them are a little annoying, like that fucking rocket guy that I hate. The maps are also pretty nice as well. Some obviously not when playing collect, because fuck open maps while looking for stuff, but playing survival on something like the outskirts is honestly what these maps should have been used for in the first place. Not saying that Slendytubbies 2 should have had been more like COD Zombies, but you know what I mean. There isn't really anything else to really say about this game, but I would like to say that for anyone looking for a silly random game to play with your friends, this is probably the perfect candidate. This is honestly a good game that you and your friends should just download and muck around with. And now we are moving on to something so much worse than this. While the multiplayer in Slendytubbies 3 was meant to continue the storyline of the story mode, there was originally going to be one final piece to the Slendytubbies lore in the form of a DLC for the main game called the Apocalypse DLC. However, this was later cancelled due to the developer, Santacon, I really hope I pronounced that right, not liking the community for Slendytubbies anymore, resulting in the cancellation of the project. The actual reason that Santacon left is because he just didn't want to work on the project anymore. Fortunately, there is a small demo that was created showing off one of the chapters from this DLC called Meltdown. Unfortunately, this demo sucks shit. Now don't get me wrong, this is a demo for a cancelled project, so I can't really rip too much into this, but this is still considered canon by ZeoWorks, even though it was never finished, which leaves so many questions unanswered. So let's just quickly get into this. We start off with our three characters for this DLC, being the Guardian, who has been renamed to W, which is short for white, because you guessed it, he's a white Teletubby. We then have Sergeant Miles, who's a really big dick to the Guardian for absolutely no reason, more on this later, and Anne, who is the nice one towards the Guardian. At first I thought that these guys were people that were introduced in the part of the DLC we didn't get to experience, but it turns out that you can actually see these two characters in the ending of the Slendytubbies 3 campaign. The DLC is set 3 months after the ending of the third game. Which ending? I got no clue. Apparently the full game was going to have a full chapter for each ending of the game. It all just depended on what ending you had when you finished. Somehow we've ended up at some bunker, and inside this bunker we find a machine that we've been looking to destroy. However, we don't have a way to get to this machine's control panel. We search through one gate to find a way to the machine, until we get ear blast jump scared into the dream map from Slendytubbies 2D. We scream for help, and while Anne is trying to figure out what happened and make sure that we're okay, you know, like a normal person would, Miles for some reason is calling us useless and then punches us and then proceeds to belittle us after having a schizophrenic nightmare meltdown. We then pick up a pick that we can use to open the door, except we can't open the door. I tried talking to the other people and it turns out that I needed something else along with the pick, so I asked Miles for something and he gave me a knife. Cool, let me go unlock this door now. Oh, my bad, I guess I had to talk to Anne again to let her know that I got the knife to open the door. But then I still couldn't open the door. Turns out I was meant to go into my inventory that the DLC forgot to remind me about, and then drag the lockpick onto the door to open it. Thanks game for not reminding me of a feature which you should be doing. Anyway, once we get through, they show a couple more loud equals scary jump scares while we're going down the stairs until it just stops. And somehow Anne and Miles have gotten in front of us. They ask why we were so slow, and then we just kind of crumbled to the ground. Then we get more dialogue featuring Miles being an absolute prick for no reason to some mentally ill Teletubby on the verge of death. I really don't get this guy's problem. I have no clue why he doesn't like our character. Maybe it's because we're hitting it off with the girl and he's jealous, so fair enough. We then have some really long dialogue that, to be honest, I wasn't really paying attention to because I was just bored out of my mind playing this. I think it was something about how we aren't sure if the dreams we've been having were real or fake. I honestly don't even care because it's just gonna stay unanswered unless some random spin-off Fruit Ninja inspired game seems to explain it or something. Wait a minute. We then try to get into the machine to deactivate it, but the card that we picked up from Ron in the third game, who has now been renamed to Troy for some reason, does not work on the machine. So we hit it with an axe. But wait, because the Guardian doesn't actually know why we're breaking the machine. So then we get told a little bit of backstory, and apparently this machine was created by humans to repopulate because apparently sex wasn't good enough. However, the humans that were created from this machine were deformed with fluffy skin and a TV in their stomach. I guess these are just normal things that people have, resulting in the creation of Teletubbies. Miles then proceeds to break the machine, but there is a small window of time where you can actually stop him from breaking it. I didn't do that though, and I'm not playing this whole DLC again just to see what would happen if I did. If you want to know, just look at the wiki. After the machine breaks, the lights go out and we can hear newborns breaking out from the machine, thus ending the demo of this shitty ass DLC. To be honest, I kinda knew that this demo was gonna be crap going into it because I had friends who had played it and they told me that they absolutely hated it. But I still had hopes because I actually didn't mind the story mode in Slendytubbies 3. However, there are just so many parts that will still make no sense, like the Shadow Tubby, how did we get into this bunker, what happened in those 3 months leading to this DLC, why does Miles hate us for no reason? A lot of things in this series will just remain unanswered due to the fact that there are no more lore installments into the series. I could imagine that the full game would have made this 10 times better and make more sense, but sadly this will never become a reality. However, there is still one more entry into the Slendytubbies universe, and out of all the games that we've covered in this video and part 1, this might be the worst game in the series yet. That game being Slendytubbies Worlds is officially the final Slendytubbies game to release. It's not related to the lore, it doesn't tie up any of the loose ends in the story mode, and worst of all, it's a role-playing game. Slendytubbies Worlds released on the 28th of May last year and loses so much of the charm that the third game had. The art style is nice, I guess. I honestly believe that the models were created for this game and not just free assets from Unity packs, but it's really not a horror art style. These are not horror game models. But I guess that's fine because this game is 100% not a horror game first. The game has 4 game modes: Collect, Versus, Sandbox, and Open World. No survival, and no infection.
What's the deal?
2 of the 3 fun game modes in Slendytubbies 3. Collect and Versus I really don't need to talk about. Boring slop with shitty AI that for some reason teleports when it kills someone, making it nearly impossible for us to get the last custard. Versus kinda sucked like usual, but we did find that if the players don't collect all the custards in a set amount of time, it will actually just show you the location of the last ones remaining, which is cool for when there's that one custard in an open world map that is nowhere to be found, so I guess it's a pretty alright feature. We then also have Sandbox, which was quite literally my favorite game mode from the third game, so surely I can have some fun playing it, right?
They ruined it.
they ruined everything. Sandbox in the third game was fun because it was a place where you could just cause as much shitty action as you and your friends wanted. You could be the monsters, you could shoot them with weapons, you could battle with your friends, you could do whatever you wanted with the tools that you had. Can't do that anymore now because the guns are gone and the monsters don't have abilities. It's just versus mode, but you can play on any map with any character. They really ruined this game mode, and for that, this is actually my least favorite game in the series. But there's still one game mode that I haven't talked about, and I'm actually gonna let T talk about this one because I completely forgot that I was doing a collab. I was just having so much fun ripping into these last couple shitty games.
Thanks for letting me have my turn, jackass. Anyway. Open Worlds was disappointing, possibly even worse than 2D. In Open Worlds, you pick a region, and it spawns you somewhere in an open world, that's the name. When Jayden and I played, we spawned on separate maps, so we had to find each other, which thankfully wasn't too hard. However, once we met up there really wasn't much to do. We met up in the mountains, which are pretty barren, and occasionally 1 or 2 newborns would spawn, but they were like poo-poo-dookie easy to kill. And sometimes it would say like the JdnTubby has appeared, or something. The game expected us to fight him, but he would just one-shot us and eventually would just disappear. There were also hats that would appear according to Jayden, but I never saw them. I never saw any players either. Not only that, but I was bored out of my mind playing this damn game. I was literally falling asleep at my desk, chilling the whole time. This game might actually be worse than 2D.
In part 1, I gave the entire Slendytubbies series a 4 out of 10, with the main thing carrying that result being Slendytubbies 3. But with the new games and game modes in question, let's see how the new rating looks. T, would you like to do the honors?
You mean I get to use the JdnScale?
Yep, you've earned it. Just put the game on top of the scale and wait for the rating to come up.
Oh shit. I'm all good.
Well, I mean, who really saw that one coming? Now, after we just fully glazed Slendytubbies 3 multiplayer, you might be wondering why the total score only went up by 1. Well, dear viewer, as fun as Slendytubbies 3's multiplayer was, and maybe also Anniversary Edition being the better way to play Slendytubbies 1, its rating is tanked due to every other game being D-tier slop. One good game can't save 5 bad ones, unless the game just so happens to be the best gaming experience to ever be created, which sadly Slendytubbies 3 isn't.
Even as a professional Slendytubbies meat writer, I'm gonna have to agree with Jayden on this one. I've been a little blinded by nostalgia. Although, I'm glad I was able to make memories on this game. It's been a part of my childhood ever since I saw a certain silly little YouTuber play the first game. Even though I'm realizing how much the games in this franchise kinda sucked, I'm still glad I was able to experience them. The amount of memories I have playing the second and third game have just kinda stuck with me. I'm glad ZeroWorks decided to make this dumb little indie game, even if it's pretty dumb. Some of it was kinda bad, and I've said this like maybe 2 times now, but I'm glad. Thank you, ZeroWorks, for this amazing franchise.
So with all that being said, this has been the ultimate Slendytubbies review, covering everything important that I missed in the first video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you happen to think differently of the series, then let me know in the comments, because I just love seeing how wrong your opinions are! That's a joke, by the way. If you like this series, then all power to you. I'd also just like to say thank you to my friend who helped me get through the shitty games we played, and also gave me someone to play the multiplayers with in the first place. They also helped a lot with finding stuff I missed, writing segments of the script, and just giving fun facts along the way while writing. Again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, then please like the video and subscribe for more crappy reviews that take me way too long to make. I hope you all have or have had a good morning, evening, or night, whatever it is for you, and I'll see you in the next video. And alright, that's a wrap. We're all done. Thank you T for helping me out with the video and all that. I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no problem. Just asking though, you're gonna pay me once this is up, right?
When did we agree on that?
I said I'd only do the video if you paid me.
Yeah, okay, alright. Well, I can get. Oh no, the video's ending. No, I've gotta go. I'll see you later. Bye.